Hello and welcome back to Continental Club Extra, where we show Premier League fans exactly what they're missing, and what they've been missing recently is Michael McCubbin, back from holiday, back from Spain.
Yes.
How was your trip?
It was great, thanks, Dukes. Yeah, very chilled out and quite warm, unlike the -6 temperatures we're having today in London.
Day.
So, yeah, very good, thanks, Dukes. Very happy for the Continental Club team to be back together. I think for the first time since before Christmas. So, yeah. Great stuff. How about yourself, Dukes?
All good, thank you. Yeah, we had Zach stepping in on last Friday's Continental Club. Go check that out. But it's the trio back together. Henry, welcome back to the show. But today we're going to talk about Mudryk and his move to Chelsea. Well, not specifically that, but what Arsenal should do as a result of that move. The forward that Arsenal have to sign in January. Now, McCubbs, at Better Call Salah, has brought up the links with the Barcelona duo Raphinha and Ferran Torres, which have gone a little bit quiet in the last sort of 6 hours, overnight basically. Yeah. But there was a move that they could go for either of these players in January. Do you see either of those moves potentially happening?
I don't. I know that Sky Sports News were reporting over the weekend that Arsenal had made contact with Deco, who's Raphinha's agent, of course. You know, and were sounding out whether Barcelona were interested in selling Torres as well. I find both of them a little bit bizarre. I think Raphinha, if he was going to go to Arsenal, would have gone last summer, wouldn't he? But he really, really wanted to go to Barcelona. And unless Barcelona are going to force him out after 6 months, doesn't make a lot of sense. I know he's not a regular starter at the moment under Diaby, and actually I don't think he was really a great use of their resources in the first place, given that they have Ousmane Dembele, who's one of the 3 best players in that right-hand forward role in the world. Yeah, it didn't make much sense to me, but Raphinha has been okay for Barca. I don't see why they would sell him at this point, and I don't see why Raphinha would want to leave Barca when they are on, you know, a bit of an upward trajectory, and there are opportunities in that side. That side changes on a week-by-week basis. You know, we never really know what Xavi's going to do with that midfield and attack. So Raphinha's going to get plenty more chances to make his way back into that side. Ferran Torres, you know, has been disappointing since moving to Barca last year. I'm not sure where he fits in at Arsenal, given that they want to go for the left wing role. At least they were with Mudryk. I know Raphinha plays on the right, but I don't think Ferran is, you know, at that level on the right. I think really the best football we've seen from him in the last few years has been through the centre, and Arsenal don't need a centre forward at the moment. Eddie Nketiah is more than a capable backup to Gabriel Jesus. Don't see why they need that. You know, their January signings need to be made with a view to consolidating the Premier League title, and I don't see Ferran Torres doing that.
Fair enough, yeah. It has been really disappointing. I remember you saying that when you went to the new camp last, he was getting booed and whistled like pretty much no other player.
I don't think he was getting booed, but I think when he came off, there were cheers. But I think that might have been for Luke de Jong. But yeah, Barca fans aren't taken with him at all. Yeah, he just hasn't really worked there, and I think partly because he gets played off the left a lot, and I don't think that's his best position. So.
Yeah, one of a number of forwards, well, along with Raheem Sterling, who probably hasn't hit the ground running at his new club since leaving Man City. Henry, let's talk about more realistic moves that seem more likely to happen. We've had loads of suggestions on Twitter. Where do you want to go with this one?
Well, just quickly on Barcelona, I think they should look at Depay. If they were going to look at anyone out of the club, it would be Depay, because he likes playing on the left. He can play through the middle if necessary, and it looks like he actually wants to leave. So I really don't know why they wouldn't go for that, certainly if they're looking for a short-term alternative. Yes, loads of great suggestions. Thank you very much. First one from Januzaj Stan, Arno Danjuma. I'm not sure necessarily about this one. I do like Danjuma, but he's been linked more with Bournemouth again in recent times, which is quite a surprise. It looks like they're trying to get him on sort of a loan deal with an option to buy at the end of it there, which would be quite a coup for Bournemouth, considering they sold him for 22 million only recently to get him back, because he has looked pretty good. Certainly last season he had a great campaign, 16 goals, 4 assists and 34 League and Champions League games. That's no bad feat at all. This year, less so, 2 goals, 0 assists. Looks like he kind of fell out of the side, doesn't he? So yeah, I'm not sure Danjuma's quite at the level Arsenal really need to push on. Looks like more squad filler to me. It's tricky though. Nico Williams is a great suggestion, but he's more of a right winger, isn't he? That's certainly where he's been playing for Athletic Club at the moment. I don't think they'll be looking to sell at the moment. What I do like, the one I really do like, is Watford's come on you H, or Coy H, Marcus Edwards. I've made that up there, the come on you H bit. But he's got a £52 million release clause, and Spurs have a 50% sell-on clause. So I think that's the only bit that the Arsenal fans might be a bit hesitant about. But yeah, he's been in great form, hasn't he, over in Portugal. He's such an exciting player. We saw that in the Champions League group stages. Certainly when Spurs went to Lisbon, I watched that game and I thought he was epic. He's got 9 goals and assists in 16 Primeira Liga games, 4 goals and assists in 6 Champions League games. He's brilliant. He's electric. I would like to see that move happen out of all of the ones suggested so far. What I wanted to ask you is, I do not think Trossard is good enough for a big club. I do not understand what he's doing. I would really be hesitant about Arsenal going anywhere near him.
Yeah, I quite like Trossard, to be honest, but at the same time, I just don't think he's probably the age profile they'll be looking at. I mean, he's 28, which isn't really old, and you know, he's probably entering or in his prime right now. Probably got 3 years left at this level. But is he the level which is really going to push Arsenal on over the next 2-3 years? I'm not quite so sure. I know he'd be cheap, and I know he's, you know, out of contract in the summer. He's fallen out with Diaby, left at the weekend to go to Belgium, I believe, prior to that victory over Liverpool, which was a big blow actually for Brighton, although they didn't seem it on the pitch because he scored that hat-trick at Anfield earlier this season. But it just feels like Trossard's potentially more of a finisher of great moves rather than a real natural creator as well. I'm not sure he's quite at the level of a Champions League player right now, at least, or at least a club that have got major aspirations for challenging for honours over the next few seasons. So I'd take a backward seat on Trossard. But at Eugenio, I thought had an excellent suggestion on Twitter. Check out this video.
So I think Arsenal should target Moussa Diaby of Bayer Leverkusen this January. He's got the electric pace that Arsenal are after, still quite young at 23. He'd definitely be expensive, but I think he's more gettable than other premium winger options. So yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on an Arsenal move for Diaby.
So there we saw at Eugenio contributing there. Thank you very much, mate. And he said Moussa Diaby, of course. And I think that's a really interesting move. This is a player that I wanted to join Aston Villa, actually, when Jack Grealish left and they actually brought in Leon Bailey, which in reflection, easy to say in hindsight, but Leon Bailey's had a really difficult time with injury. His form hasn't been great either. But Moussa Diaby, the fact he can play on the left and the right so effectively, and has been one of the few shining lights at Leverkusen this season, with Patrick Schick's form really dropping off, Florian Wirtz still injured. It's really been Moussa Diaby carrying a very poor Leverkusen start to the season. They have improved slightly under Xabi Alonso in recent weeks, but last year in particular, Moussa Diaby was absolutely exceptional. 25 league goals and assists in 32 games last season, only 23, so 5 years younger than Trossard. But having said that, will cost considerably more money. I think there was talks overnight basically that Bayer Leverkusen, in order to sell him, would be looking at sort of Mudryk-esque money in order to sell him, because he was linked with Newcastle over the summer. There has been links with Arsenal in the past, but he's a really fast player. He's incredibly agile. He's got a great low centre of gravity. He can move very quickly, and he's pretty two-footed as well. And the fact he can play on the left and the right, crucially, as well, I think is really handy, because Fabio Vieira, I think, is quite a drop-off from Saka, at least on the right-hand side. I think he's shown that, particularly in the Oxford United game last week in the FA Cup, that he could contribute, you know, if Odegaard was to get injured, in that central role, or more central role. But yeah, for Moussa Diaby to be able to cover on both sides, I think he'd be a major asset to Arsenal. The only issue is he's going to cost a lot of money, and there's been talk about Declan Rice overnight as well. I mean, McCubbs, do you think if you were Arsenal, do you just hold on with your forward options right now and prioritise Rice in the summer? Because we're sort of imagining they can't do both a Moussa Diaby and a Rice this year. Yeah,
for sure. I think this is the weird thing. I'm not sure why Arsenal are going for like a long-term big money forward signing in January. It just doesn't make sense to me. And yeah, I think Rice in the summer would be an amazing move. But I think you can do both. Like I think Leandro Trossard would be available for cheap, and actually I think Leandro Trossard is more than good enough to be a squad player at Arsenal. I think he offers something different to what Martinelli does on the left in a 4-2-3-1. I think he is. I know his goal scoring record has been great this year, but I think he does offer a bit more, or at least his game is a bit more in between the lines for me. Then you've got someone like Marcus Thuram at Borussia Mönchengladbach, and I've been like touting him for basically everyone under the sun this January. But a lot of teams are kind of looking for a kind of hybrid left winger striker, and yeah, I'm not sure why no one's made a serious approach for him yet, given that he's available for, what, 10 to 15 million. Maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there is a reason why, and we just don't know it. So I think those two, I think you can do that and then buy Rice in the summer. I'm not sure, yeah, because, I mean, you know, 80 to 100 million on a left winger or a striker and 80 to 100 million on Rice. Let's face it, Rice will probably go for 100 mil. So, yeah, I would be surprised if they did that at the very least. So, yeah, I would probably go Trossard or Thuram, or maybe even try Hudson-Odoi. I don't know how you can get him out of that loan, but I think, you know, unless Graham Potter is desperate to see what he can do when he comes back from his loan, they've signed Mudryk, they've got Sterling there already. It feels to me that Hudson-Odoi's options at Chelsea are running out, and I think, you know, there is so much potential there still at the age of 22.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's been solid enough for Bayer Leverkusen, of course. Henry, final word from you. Do you think for Arsenal missing out on Mudryk is a disaster? How do you rate it?
No, I don't think it's a disaster at all. I think the money that's been spent on him is absurd. Yeah. Obviously, he's an exciting player. He's a great player, but he was very raw. It would have taken him a long time to get going. I don't think we're going to see the best of Mudryk at Chelsea anytime soon. I'm happy to be proven wrong on that on that opinion, but he's going to go from being the real star man at the Shakhtar side to suddenly having to fit in with a bunch of disgruntled world-class players at Chelsea, because that is the situation, isn't it? And I think that he's going to have to level up very quickly in terms of his overall game. And I think with Arsenal, they've got so much positive momentum and team spirit that it's not necessarily a problem. So yeah, in that regard, maybe you're right. Maybe if they got a Trossard through the door, a seasoned professional, someone who's done it in the Premier League for a long time, maybe that would be a good idea. But no, I think Arsenal will be fine. The problem is everyone knows how much money they've got. Everyone knows how much they're willing to spend on a winger now. So they're going to get their they're going to be taken for a ride wherever they look at the moment, and that's the only problem. But Arsenal have been pretty good at sort of holding their ground when it comes to not being paying foolish money in recent years.
Yeah, absolutely. Very Man City-esque in that respect. Not the only thing they are taking after the Citizens in recent years as well. Guys, thank you very much for watching Continental Club Extra. I think we've come to a conclusion there. These two are more keen on a cheaper winger, maybe a Trossard or a Thuram. I'm going all out for Moussa Diaby. I think he's absolutely exceptional. I'd love to see him at the club. Guys, if you've enjoyed Continental Club Extra for this week, let us know what you made of it in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Eurofootball Daily, and we'll catch you later in the week. Goodbye.